Yes, recording has started. Please, Arti Shanware ma'am, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. A very warm good evening to all of you. It's a moment of great privilege and honor for me to extend a very hearty welcome to all of you today at this memorable event. All of us are looking forward to the expert talk by Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale, independent healthcare biotech consultant and ex-vice president, Torrent Pharmaceuticals Limited, on research requirements for biosciences, biotechnology in academia industry interactions. This event holds special value due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, because of which the proceedings are taking place online. On behalf of the organizing committee, I, Dr. Arti Shanware, Director, Rajiv Gandhi Biotechnology Center, Rashtrasanta Tukdoji Maharaj, Nagpur University, Nagpur, extend my warm welcome on this special occasion once again to our distinguished guests for today's function, dignitaries, my learned colleagues from various university departments across the country, delegates attending this webinar, and student friends. At the outset, I would like to apprise the audience about the genesis of this event. As you all are aware, we are celebrating the National Science Week to popularize science and its applications among students, to foster the spirit of scientific temperament, and to stimulate their minds to explore new frontiers of science and technology, to display all the activities, efforts, and achievements in the field of science for human welfare, to discuss all the issues and implement new technologies for the development of the science, and to give an opportunity to the scientific minded citizens in the country. The theme of the this year 2021 is Future of Science, Technology and Innovation, that is STI, Impact on Education, Skills and Work. This National Science Week is being celebrated all over India, and against this backdrop, I consider it is my honor to convene this event. I welcome you all once again. It is said that the aim of education is the knowledge not of fact but of values. It is on such occasions that we get opportunities to test our knowledge and understanding. We look forward to get an exposure about the perspectives of best of the brains about this very dynamic and equally wonderful field of life sciences. We at Microbiology Society India are committed to broaden awareness about the life science themes by learning how they inspire and lead to the development of our innovations. Anticipating the effect of such issues are therefore as imperative as advancing its capabilities, and aligned with this backdrop, I feel honored to welcome you all once again in the presence of scientific icons in the region. I now invite the President of Microbiology Society of India, Dr. Arvind Deshmukh, sir, to share his introductory remarks, please. Over to Dr. Arvind Deshmukh, sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Arti ma'am. I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale as a means. I'm welcoming him as a president of Microbiology Society. I'm happy today. The members attending this Google Meet are from every corner of India, and all of them have love toward the microbiology, love toward the life science, and ultimately love toward the nation. So in short, only in 2 minutes, I want to brief Microbiology Society. The Microbiology Society was established in 1996, and now it is spread over not only in India, all neighboring countries, and every year we are organizing one international conference out of India. In India, we are organizing many conferences. More than 10,000 students are regularly in contact with Microbiology Society via Learning, that is a mobile learning. Virtual learning we started 5 years, 6 years back. Because of the COVID-19, now people have learned to come together via virtual learning. So Microbiology Society is working at the level of scientists. We are educating not only the scientists, not only the layman, but also the students of the India. We are distributing lifetime microbiology devotion award. We are giving many mementos, more than 500 mementos to the best students of India. So like that, we are inspiring and creating the awareness. It is because of the Dr. Sanjay Patankar, I came to know that the Vijay Chauthai Wale, although he is in India at a Delhi, originally from Nagpur, but although he is now fully involved in many administrations, but his love toward the microbiology, because of that, I was tempted to call him on the platform, and because of the Dr. Sanjeev Patankar, it is possible today. So I thank Sanjeev Patankar sir also, and I thanks Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwala for accepting our invitation and coming on our platform. I will not take much time. Only I request Dr. Vijay sir also. Our platform is mainly for discussion. It is in this platform, people want to interact, ask the questions, ask the problems, what are in their minds. And Dr. Arti Shanwari will coordinate all the questions and answers. So thank you again. Thank you, Arti Shanwari ma'am. Over to Arti Shanwari.
Thank you so much, sir. When I went through the very impressive biodata of today's eminent speaker, Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale sir, I was deeply humbled and inspired to read his very long list of enviable achievements and very illustrious career as well. To be honest, I wanted to have the honor of introducing him to all of you. But keeping personal temptation aside, and following the truly democratic tenets of our society, I invite Dr. Patankar, who is President of Maharashtra and Goa Unit of Microbiology Society of India, to introduce today's speaker. Over to you, Dr. Patankar, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shanware, madam. I, Dr. Sanjeev Patankar, welcome you all in today's Google Meet, that is on the research requirements for biosciences, biotechnology in industry academia interactions, where the expert speaker is Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale. And I just say to Dr. Deshmukh sir, so don't say thank you to me. It is my duty for the subject that we must bring such personalities in our forum and inspire our students to progress our subject also. So without wasting much more time, I introduce Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale. Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale, born in Nagpur. He is the son of late Shri Madhukar Raoji Chauthaiwale, a dedicated teacher and very famous in the field of education and social life in the Nagpur. Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale, he educated in Nagpur for his preliminary education schooling up to 12th. Then he shifted to Pune, where he obtained his degree in BSc Microbiology from Pune University. He did his MSc Microbiology from MS University Baroda, and after that he completed his PhD from National Chemical Laboratory and got the degree of PhD from Pune University. After that, Dr. Vijay, he went to University of Tennessee, Knoxville for postdoctoral studies, and also in National Institute of Health, USA for 4 years. He also attended Executive Management Program at Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, and Leadership Development Program at London's Business School. Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale, after doing his postdoctoral studies, he worked in senior management role in pharmaceutical research and development for 18 years. His last role being Vice President, Discovery Research in Torrent Pharmaceuticals Limited, Ahmedabad. Since November 2014, he started working independently as healthcare biotech consultant. His main expertise is in new drug discovery and R&D portfolio management. In Torrent Pharma, he worked as a bench scientist, laboratory head, manager, leading to the leadership roles. His vast experience has provided him exposure to diverse operational issues like portfolio management, business development, collaboration management, resource optimization, interaction with regulatory authorities and agencies, exploring funding support opportunities, etc. Over the years, he has successfully built and motivated long-lasting teams. 3 novel drug candidates developed by him and his team are in various stages of clinical development. Dr. Vijay has authored peer-reviewed scientific papers, review articles, and book chapters. He is also co-inventor of several global patents. Dr. Vijay is currently serving as a member of apex committees of several important institutions, to name the Board of Governors of Indian Institute of Management, Raipur, co-chairman, Technical Expert Committee on Drug and Development Program, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, Mission High-Level Committee of Atal Innovation Mission, AIM, which is umbrella body under the NITI Aayog for all innovation-related initiatives of Government of India, Research Council of Central Drug Research Institute, CDRI, CSIR, Lucknow, Board of Health Technology Assessment in India, Ministry of Health, Government of India, Board of Governors of Indian Institute of Scientific Education and Research, that is ISER Pune, Advisory Council of Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University, Maharashtra, governing body of Ram Narayan Ruia Autonomous College, Mumbai. His important past assignments are high-level advisory group set up by Ministry of Commerce, Government of India, 2018-19, Search and Selection Committee for appointment of Vice Chancellor of MS University, Baroda, 2011, Board of Studies, MS University, Baroda, 2009 to 2011. Apart from all these activities, he is also related and he is also conducting different activities. For example, he is very much interested in foreign affairs. He is coordinating with Indian diaspora worldwide. He also coordinates, very importantly, the global interactions of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Ji Modi. He is also, apart from the scientific writing, he has also authored the important books like Hindutva in Present Context, The Modi Doctrine, New Paradigm in Indian Foreign Policy. Apart from this, he is a regular columnist in several national media publications where he writes on contemporary socio-political topics. Dr. Vijay's wife, Dr. Jyoti, is PhD biochemistry and is social activist. His daughter, Prerita, works for a social media startup in Mumbai. So with this introduction, I conclude my words. Thank you. Thank you. So over to Dr. Shanware, madam.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Patankar, sir. Just as houses are made of stones, so is science made of facts. But a pile of stones is not a house, and collection of facts is not necessarily a science. Only someone with deep insight and clear vision of the future, like all the erudite resource person of today's events, can bring forth the hidden gems of wisdom to the surface. We are indeed very grateful to you, sir, for your august presence and your views. I don't think there is anyone who doesn't recognize the importance of research and development as a crucial ingredient in stimulating innovation, improving the levels of productivity, creating added values, and thereby generating economic growth of country. Therefore, this event is a potential platform to realize the need of upgrading innovative research in industry academia interface. I am sure you all must be very excited and eager to listen to Dr. Chauthaiwala sir and interact with him. So before we begin, let me mention a simple rule to streamline the process of communication. After his talk is over, during the question and answer session, I request all the students to type their questions in the chat box, please. All the faculty and senior members are requested to raise their hands and patiently wait for their turn. I am sure that the expert talk, which he will be delivering in next hour by our eminent speaker, will bring you the feast of knowledge for stepping towards innovation to strengthen the industry-academia interface. It is the fact that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. And when scientific knowledge is crowned with wisdom through decades of experience, the combination commands deep reverence. As is evident in Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwala's speech, we are all ears to hear you, sir. Over to Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwala, sir, please.
Thank you, Aarti madam.
Thank you so much, sir.
Respected Dr. Deshmukh, dear friend Dr. Sanjay Patankar, other dignitaries of Microbiology Association of India. I know at least many names I can see and relate with, and all the faculties and friends and students of microbiology in this platform. First of all, let me thank you, especially to Sanjay, for inviting me here, and also for very exhaustive introduction, which he reminded me that, okay, you simply cannot be on so many committees, but sometimes you have to be, you have to do it for one reason or other. Coming back to topic, I will not take a very long time for your for my speech. Rather, I would be more than willing to take questions from you and discuss with you. So let me put the things in perspective. I have worked in science as an academician, and also I have worked in industry. So I know both the sides of coin, and therefore I can also see why the collaborations work and why they don't work, especially between academia and industry. First of all, let me tell you why, when it works, and then I will tell you when it doesn't work. Collaboration work when it is complementary to each other. So it is very well understood that academic science generally takes their invention, their discovery to certain level beyond which it is not possible to prove it in the field or even to scale up or bring to the market. And at that time, industry's role becomes very pertinent, and therefore we all know that industry chips in, takes the product at a lab level and scale it up, convert it into a sellable product or a service, and then it becomes a very successful collaboration. Even though this seems to be very simple and straightforward, actually it does not happen like that in practice. And one of the most important things is not happening is basically there is a kind of a distrust in scientists' mind about the industry, and vice versa in industrialists' mind about the science. Scientists are very passionate about their own discoveries. We all treat our discoveries and inventions as our babies. But sometimes I used to tell to someone that you treat them as a baby, but you treat them as a girl, your daughters, and not as a son, because you should be aware that your daughter should sometime, at some time point, will walk away from your home and go to some different home. So as long as we have that clarity, that if you want to see your discovery at the end of the day to be served to the people or to be sold as a product, then it has to be handed over to the businessman. But many a times, because of very possessiveness of scientists, it does not happen. On the other hand, even industry many a times feel that all this academic research is just a very small thing and anyone can do it. And therefore, they have a kind of contempt. They have somehow a contempt for the academic research. And therefore, they try to undervalue the importance of academic research. And that creates also a rift between the industry academia collaboration. The third point is that science nowadays has become a very interdisciplinary, which especially in India we are not yet able to accept. I will tell you when, and Sanjay will remember these discussions, that when we were in undergraduate microbiology, when especially in Vidarbha microbiology was quite new. So if you take microbiology, you have to either give up zoology or botany. And there always used to be a debate whether microbiology is close to zoology or microbiology is used to botany. So we split our domains into such a narrow thing, while any topic requires a much wider understanding of not only your core subject, but also with the subjects which are related to each other. For example, you cannot be a very good microbiologist without having good knowledge of chemistry or organic chemistry for that matter, and many other things. But unfortunately, our education system is so much divided into silos that we don't want to understand the aligning subject, and therefore it prevents the understanding of the core issues. For example, if you are creating any microbiological product, but if you don't know the design of fermenter and how it works and what are the thermodynamic aspects, they will come into the picture when you scale up from the flask to the fermenter. Whatever good product you have developed in the laboratory, you won't be able to scale up. And these kind of interdisciplinary knowledge is absolutely must if you want to do any productive research in terms of bringing any product to the market. If you want to understand purely any basic phenomenon which has very little or no industrial application, then you can remain focused on that phenomenon and spend your life in it. And it is quite commendable. I am not denouncing it. It is also very important to create basic knowledge. But if you want to develop it into a product, then you need to have such a wider perspective. Third thing is that we need to understand that at some stage we need to stop the lab level research and think about scale up, because we are quite possessive about our discoveries. Many a times we go on doing the work for the incremental improvisation, which may or may not add value. And no product is perfect. And therefore, the version 1 of any product may not be the best version. There can always be version 2 and version 3. But if we want to bring directly version 10 into the market, then we are likely to spend a lot of time and energy and money for which industry doesn't wait. And that also a reason many a times the industry academia collaboration fail. Fourth and most important part is the protection of your discovery in form of intellectual property rights. We are very keen as an academician that that my discovery or invention should get published and I should get recognition as early as possible, and rightly so. But many a times in this rush, we lose the advantage of protecting it as an intellectual property at appropriate time, because patent filing is of course there is a science in it, but also it's an art, and also it is connected with the timing, because the day you file a patent, your clocks are ticking, and you know that after 20 years that patent is going to expire. So countdown of those 20 years start the moment you file the patent. So if you file it too early, then your clock starts ticking too early. If you don't file it early and wait for the product development, you are extending the patent life, but at the same time, there is a chance that someone else will have a similar discovery and they will supersede your invention. So patent filing is a very tightrope balance between when to patent, what to patent, and what not to patent. You must be knowing a very classical case of Coca-Cola, that it is the most secretive formula in the world which is not patented and still creating billions of dollars of revenue every year. So you can have an intellectual property without patenting it. But patenting it also has an advantage, because now you have a very valid legal and legitimate claim on that invention. But what has happened in Indian science is that in past, a lot of people used to, scientists, there used to be a race to file, to publish the papers, scientific papers, peer-reviewed papers. And now there is a race to file the patent. And therefore, what happens that many a times we file the patent, as I described, either too early or too late. And if, let me tell you very frankly, that if your patent is filed and if you cannot convert it, that invention into a technology, a sellable product, then that patent is not worth on the paper it is printed upon. So that patent is worthless. It has zero value if you cannot convert it into a product. Third part, of course, about patent is that you need to protect your patent, and it is a very expensive affair. So you need to choose which country your patent you would like to protect, whether you want a global patent or whether you want only India specific patent or only in some important countries. And each one has a cost repercussions, and also it also depends on how important you think your invention is. So this is a very complex issue, but academic scientists may not have a complete understanding of it. And there also the inputs from industry is very important. And only when you have a collaboration with industry, you will be able to develop your, what I call it as an IP strategy for the intellectual property protection. Third difference, which is very important between academic research and industrial research, is that in the academics, then this is very important for the students, that in the academics, the project belongs to you. That means if you are working on certain project for your PhD or even as a faculty, that project is your project. That means if you go on leave for 1 month for a vacation, most likely no one else will work on that project. No one else will be knowing also what you are doing. But in industry, the project does not belong to you. You belong to the project. That means your manager, your supervisor, your boss has a full right to shift you from one project to another. Many a times for the industrial requirement, these uh, projects can be closed or may be given low priority, or suddenly some low priority project can become high priority, and you need to reshuffle yourself as per the requirement of the industry. And that is something academic researchers are not used to, and therefore they feel little bit uncomfortable in collaborating with industry. The last point I would like to emphasize, and then I will stop and will take the questions, is that in Indian education system, we create a lot of fear for failures, which means that if someone fails, then we look him down, we criticize him, we don't accept the failures. That is our overall cultural system. But in any invention, the failures are an integral part of it. Even if you invent something, we discover something, it may or may not actually, your idea might be very bright, but simply because it is impractical, or simply because it is too expensive, or simply because someone else has already worked on it, or there is something like COVID has come, a pandemic has come, economic situation is not conducive for uh, exploring this idea at this stage. There can be 1,000 reasons because of which this idea may be very good, but it may not suit at this time and space. And therefore, you need to abandon this idea and start working on working on the new idea. But somehow our people are not habitual of it, and we don't like the failures. We are extremely fearful of the failures. And in the high end research, failure is an integral part of the life, and we should gracefully accept the failures. We should accept the lessons. We should learn the adequate lessons from these failures and move on, and just take care that the mistakes which you have created in past are not repeated. You are free to commit new mistakes, because again mistakes are a great learning curve. So these are some of the things or cultural differences between industry and academia collaboration. And lastly, what I would say, that in last 10 years or so, especially in the field of biotechnology, a lot of innovations are taking place. There is a huge surge in the startup culture thanks to the institutions like Department of Biotechnology, then BIRAC, which I myself have worked with when I was in industry, and they are very open-minded to not only fund you, but also to mentor you, to guide you, and on what should be done and what should not be done. Again, the new institutions like Atal Innovation Mission, with which I am associated, they also are now funding a lot of startups, incubators, etc. And all this is creating a very huge ecosystem for the young academicians and also the mature academicians and researchers to convert their innovations into a product, an industrial product which is very relevant for the needs of a society and for India in general. What is required for this is to have a very open mind, not only to take the ideas from others, but also to share your ideas with others, of course, with a uh, adequate protection of intellectual property, and take the industry not as a someone rival, but as a complementary to our research. And whatever this ecosystem, new ecosystem of biotechnology has been nurtured in last decade or 15, 20 years, we all should take advantage of this renewed enthusiasm. And as you know that the COVID has not only uh, put forward a big challenge in front of all of us, but also it has given a great opportunity for to come out with the new products and solutions in the sphere of healthcare. Just today, I don't know how many of you have read the news that just today afternoon it was announced that this Covaxin, the COVID vaccine that has been developed by Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech, its interim phase 3 data has come out, and it has shown that it is 81% effective, which is a very big success, and we all should be proud of this. But again, it would not have been possible without the active collaboration with National Institute of Virology in Pune and ICMR in Delhi. So it shows that very successful collaboration between industry and academia can be done in the hour of crisis, but we need to make it as a general habit rather than doing it as an exception. And for that, I appeal all of you, both whosoever are from academia and whosoever are from industry, to welcome each other with open arm, with open heart, and a spirit of collaboration. Only then India will grow as a great hub of biotech, and we all will be able to see the fruits of our research into service of the country and the mankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for very erudite guidance. Now, questions, please. Students, if you want to ask questions, you please are most welcome. Faculties as well across the country who are eager to ask question and hear from Chauthaiwale sir, you are requested to please raise your questions.
Madam, there is one question in chat box. Anup Kumar question. So please take that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. He just, Dr. Chauthaiwale sir, on behalf of Mr. Anup Kumar, I would like to ask you, he writes, respected sir, very nice points you have discussed. What do you think about working of microbiologist with pharmacologist together? I always feel microbes has huge potential for creating new things and for destruction of unwanted things as well. Your opinion, please, on this point. And he's saying thanks to you, sir.
There is no two doubts that microbiologists need to and should be collaborating with pharmacologists, because pharmacologists know that what happens after any product or any device is put into the living body, which insight microbiologists might not have. And therefore, a collaboration between microbiologist and pharmacologist will be a great thing for any success of the product. Thank you.
Anybody would like to?
Yeah, I would like to ask one question and his opinion. You said that the interdisciplinary work should be there, and you cited the example of chemistry and microbiology and other things. What I want to ask you, what is the role of mathematical modeling in biotechnology and biosciences and in interdisciplinary research? Because I think we have to look into this particular aspect. we are lacking for that. What is your opinion regarding this mathematical modeling applied to biotechnology or the life sciences?
You are absolutely right, Sanjeev. See, the problem is this that again I am going back to our education system that if we choose biology, we give up science, we give up mathematics at a
Yes.
very early age of our life. I myself had given up mathematics after 12th.
Hmm.
And that actually creates lot of inhibitions of doing all these things. For example, if you are going to do scale up of
Hmm.
in the fermenter,
Yeah.
lot of things you can do it by using mathematical models, that what kind of the stirrer speed, what kind of conduction, what kind
Yes.
of heat will be required, and lot of this simulation is now possible to do it. But if we don't know basics of mathematics, or you gave up some 20 years back, then you will not be able to do it. So, like chemistry, mathematics, physics, and many other even engineering aspects, all that have become very important. And also the microbiologists, we are too much confined to bacteria and viruses, but
Hmm.
also eukaryotic biology is very different than the microbial biology. And therefore, some understanding of eukaryotic biology is also very important. I remember, to give you my own example, when I finished my PhD, which I worked on basically some basic cloning of some genes from the Streptomyces. First thing I did was to take a postdoc in the eukaryotic biology.
Hmm.
And my second postdoc was also on the eukaryotic differentiation, in fact, mammalian system. So when I started learning that, then I realized that how complicated eukaryotic system is than the microbiology, and therefore that actually helped me a lot when I came back and joined the pharma company. And then I started working on diabetes.
Hmm.
So I need to learn the human biology. So continuous learning is also very important in our own subject as well as in the allied subjects.
Right.
I would like to add one more sentence, sir. National Education Policy 2020 has opened many windows for combined education. So our system will be now like we can take one major and minor from any discipline, maybe arts, maybe commerce. So these doors are open now.
Yes, that's a very good point. And new education policy is actually more like a modern approach to the education, which is
Correct.
now adopted in many developed countries. That you can learn economics also while, or some language while doing your graduation in science, and vice versa. And these interdisciplinary systems, especially, which is being implemented to some extent in the ICERs. And because I am on ICER Pune board, I know that this system of interdisciplinary coursework is being implemented there. But new education policy will allow us to do it in anywhere you are learning, and it will be a great benefit to the students and the faculties as well.
I would like to take again ask one minor question, but which I feel important. You have talked about the patents, but as per my opinion, the patenting in India is a very poor, not very poor, very poor. So what is the probable reason how we can boost patenting in India?
I think there are several issues, and I don't want to go into a lot of details. But let me, one issue, as I described, that we simply don't believe in patenting. We want to publish. And publication and patenting are two different things. Many a times they are in opposite to each other. If you publish, then you cannot patent. It's very as simple as that. If you can patent, then after your patent is published, then you can publish a scientific paper. but not reverse. And many a times we don't understand this difference. We first publish, and publication doesn't mean only in the peer-reviewed journal, but even if you incorporate your data and your finding in your PhD thesis or MPhil thesis, still it cannot be patented by yourself. So, lack of this understanding actually is preventing creating intellectual property. But I want to emphasize another issue which I talked in my main talk also, is that patenting simply is not good enough. Protecting the patent is also very important, and unfortunately we as a country has a long way to go into patent protection and patent. For example, if you file a patent and if I copied that patent without your knowledge, what is the and start exploiting it for commercial purposes, then what is the remedy you have? So these are some very difficult issues, uh, and you know that the big companies fight and spend millions of dollars on protecting the patents, and unfortunately that culture is still not evolved in this country, even though there is a lot of progress, especially in the patent filing, etc. It has become simplified. Uh, there is also the incentivization of patent is also a very big issue. And let me tell you one example which I have quoted in many of my talks, and how the government uh, has changed some of the very prohibitive rules. There is a company here in Delhi, biotech drug discovery startup named Curadev. They were working on a cancer, and they have a fantastic molecule on cancer, which was very exciting, and they wanted to do some toxicity studies before it was licensed out to one multinational. So they couldn't find enough funding source for this doing some advanced toxicity study. They somehow managed some funding and did it. A European major biotech, a Swiss biotech Roche, has in-licensed their intellectual property and paid $35 million upfront. But what happened? That as soon as that money came into their bank, the taxman, income tax people said that, okay, now you need to pay 30% tax on this capital, capitalization of this intellectual property. So on one side, we don't have enough funding for the patents, and on the other side, we have such a heavy charge, heavy tax rules. New startup policy has said that if you have patented in India, if the origin of the invention is in India and you have filed Indian patent, then any such capital gains on the Indian invention will be taxed only at 10%. So this is something which has been changed the culture. So there are a lot of complicated issues around patent, and it will require a separate discussion maybe.
Yes, sir. One Mr. Akhil Karandikar, he is asking how bioinformatics should be applied and how will it work in biotechnology?
It's a very general question. Any informatics is very important, but I am a very strong proponent of the actual lab work, and therefore my comment you may or may not like, but long back when I was in Torrent, I went to inaugurate one bioinformatics center in one of the universities. I will not name the university. And they showed me all the very high-end computing platforms, etc. But I told them one thing, that please do not forget that there is a word bio in bioinformatics. That means bioinformatics is very complementary to the lab work. But if someone thinks that sitting on the computer he can totally decipher any biological phenomenon without doing any lab work, then they are in the dreamland. In biology, you have to prove it in the wet lab. How good your concept is, how good your idea is, how good your computer simulation is, and how good data the bioinformatics give. Unless it is proven in the wet lab, it has very little significance. And therefore, yes, bioinformatics is important. It is many a times necessary, but it is not sufficient. The real proof of the pudding is in the wet lab.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Sir, I have one offbeat question for you, sir. You have been a researcher, a successful team leader, an effective manager, a consultant, and now managing the foreign affairs of BJP very successfully. How do you manage to juggle so many roles, sir? And which role do you like the best?
It's a very difficult question. Many a times accidents happen in life, and sometimes good accidents happen. So many a times in at least my life, I didn't plan that I should join politics, etc., and do something like a foreign affairs. But I was asked that if I will be willing to take this opportunity, and I said, okay, let me take the risk. So again, I can say that I don't have that much fear of the failure. And even that time I said that, okay, if I fail, I can always go back to my lab. If not Torrent, some other company will give me a job.
Yes,
So I
yes.
took the risks. So that is number one. And second is, see, I know my limitations. For example, I know that I am not good in organic chemistry. So we have a tendency to collaborate with someone who is like us, who is like our temperament. But actually, it's a very wrong strategy. We should collaborate with someone who is exactly opposite to us. If you are a man who doesn't like to go into the very detailed data, then you should collaborate with someone who can read every line in the data and check if it is correct or not. If you are a very strong biologist, then rather than collaborating with another biologist, you should collaborate with a very strong chemist. Then this complementarity and successful collaboration can take place. And that's, I guess, is very important in life.
Yes, thank you. And same with the on same line, does the researcher in you feel suffocated sometimes by the overwhelming and never-ending demands on your time by other profiles of yours?
Nowadays I don't do any research as such directly. I am more into the policy and kind of management role in some institutes. So and I still wish that one day I would go back to the lab and discuss about science. And I do it once in a while. When I go to Ahmedabad, I go to my old lab and just ask what's happening on this. But again, you need to understand, and I fully understand, I am not anymore a part of that company. So I will not, I don't intrude in their, again, intellectual property, confidentiality, etc., even though I know what's happening. By and large, I still keep a interest in science, but not as much I wish to do it.
Thank you so much. And this is last from me. I am just tempted to ask you the final question from this side. Do you feel a good researcher or a good academician can also become a good manager or a good bureaucrat? And was the transition for you was difficult?
I am not a bureaucrat, but yes, you can become a good manager, but it requires certain changes. I remember, and I was very fortunate that my boss in Torrent, who was an excellent mentor. So I will tell you two instances. I was managing the lab, I was heading the lab and doing very good. And suddenly I thought that I should do MBA. So I went to my boss and said that, sir, I want to do MBA. So either you give me 1 year leave or someone's microphone is on. Mr. Prem edits.
Mr. Prem,
Yeah, now I
thank you.
guess it has gone. Yeah. Now it is still on.
No, Mr. Prem edits, would you please mute yourself?
Yeah, now he has
Now
muted.
it's
Yeah.
okay. Sir, please proceed.
Or I will do some corresponding course with any good university. So he said that, Vijay, I understand that you need to understand the principles of management, but I don't think you need MBA. So rather than doing full MBA, I will find some good management course. And then he sent me to IIM Bangalore for 3 months residential program on management. So that has given me a very good insight about how the management systems work. But he has also done another thing. Once, as soon as I came back, he told me that your seat will not be anymore in the lab because my small cabin used to be a part of the lab. He said, you are not going to sit with the labs anymore. You are going to sit with the other managers, the finance and admin and everything. So that your kind of umbilical cord with the science and your passion about spending time in the lab is reduced. You can go to the lab anytime you want, but you also need to do the other part, and therefore he didn't allow me to sit in the lab. And that actually very painful decision for me because I was so passionate about working in the lab and taking the micropipette in hand or going into the cell culture labs once in a while. And he asked me that now you are not going to do it anymore. You are going to let others do it and you monitor it what they are doing. That's a separate story. So unless you are prepared to do these kind of changes, you will not be able to transit from a scientist to a manager and a leader.
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much. This question from Anup Kumar is very interesting. Why most of times industries are not responding for preliminary work of academic researchers? Please share your thoughts, sir.
Yes, partly I agree that that kind of open-mindedness is not there in Indian industry because Indian industry many times think that the academic research is too basic and it doesn't actually serve their priorities. But on the other side, many a times even the academicians they don't proactively go to the industry and show that what they are doing. Or on the other side, uh, academicians should go if they want to do industrial research and really do the industry academic partnership. Rather, what happens that many a times I do some invention and then I think that it is very good and industry should buy it out. But industry doesn't need that for one reason or other. So it might be a good idea that before starting any major project, if you want to do any applied research, identify the problem and make a problem statement in collaboration or at least by understanding what industries need. And if you do that, then there is a good chances that industry will listen to you and also will collaborate with you rather than taking some miss if you are going in if you have decided to grow the mangoes in your farm but the market wants oranges, so mangoes might be very good but you will not be able to sell them. But if you do the market research in advance and decide that okay, this time or in next 5-10 years oranges will be in big demand and therefore start growing oranges, then there is a good chance that you will be able to sell it properly. I am giving a very crude example, it's not the right example, I understand, but understanding the industry need and then fine tuning your research accordingly will be a best way of success between collaboration of with industry.
Thank you, sir. This one is from Dr. Vijay Charde, who is a faculty head of the department at Koradi College near Nagpur. He's asking, many students from rural areas are opting microbiology nowadays, and they have small agricultural land as well. How can they be promoted for applying innovation in agriculture sector? Sir, this could be my question also, because this field is very near to my heart. So this is from me as well.
I think there are now a lot of schemes. For example, the Atal Innovation Mission has now a scheme called as a Atal Community Research Scheme. That means some of these agricultural solutions may be very local. So, for example, if someone works in the fields in the Vidarbha, and if he identifies some problem, that problem may not be relevant for the farmer of Pune or farmer of Punjab for that matter, but that problem is very relevant for the farmer of Vidarbha. So and therefore the solution also is likely to be local, and it is very important to find that solution for that particular region or for that particular condition or for that particular crop. And this Atal Community Innovation Scheme incubators is designed for such needs, so that the local solutions for the local conditions and local requirements can be found out. So if you go to these documents which is available on the Atal Innovation Mission website, you will have a lot of insight. And if you start thinking right from the day one in that direction, then all these issues, we can find a solution, at least many of them.
Yes. Thank you, sir. This question is from Dr. Chitra Lade Madam, who is ex-head of LAD College, ex-head in microbiology department at LAD College, Nagpur. She is asking, as model patenting and many types are interdisciplinary, involving many persons for single patent is there for limit for number of persons or so? Is that so?
No, I didn't understand the question.
She is saying as model patenting and many types, they are interdisciplinary, involving many persons. So for a single patent. So I think she is asking, is there any limit for number of persons the patent should be filed? Like, if I understand it correctly.
No, there is no limit. You can have as many inventors as you are there. In fact, you should give credit to all the inventors in your patent application.
Yes, sir. And it's one Deepak Pisote, he is asking, he's actually conveying that thank you, sir, for your wonderful words of wisdom. He would like to ask that what are the opportunities for pharmaceutical biotechnology in government sector for development on this particular field?
Why you want to go to the government? Go to the private sector. That is also another thing. All of us wants every government to do everything. Government role is to create appropriate atmosphere, policy, funding, mechanism, simplifying the processes, regulation, etc. So that the private industry can create the jobs. So think about going to private sector rather than dependent on the government.
Yes, yes. And one Sakshi Matpal, she is asking that thank you so much for your knowledgeable talk, sir. And she would like to have your views regarding the prospects of, again, IPR she is asking on, or patent agents, particularly in government sector. She is MSc Microbiology.
Again, of course, there is a requirement for patent experts in the government, especially the patent examiners, etc. in the patent office. But again, the much wider and bigger scope of patent experts are in the private sector, both in the companies as well as in the law firms. And it's a very sunshine area right now, because there are not many people available who also have the knowledge of domain expert like microbiology, like chemistry, like maybe integrated circuits, and also knowledge of intellectual property. So this dual knowledge is very, very beneficial to have very good opportunities in the IP sector.
Yes, sir. And she would like to have her career in this field only. So let us wish her all the best. I think we should take this last question, sir, please. One Maithili, Sakshi Matpal, she has already asked. One more question. One Rajashri Bobde, she is asking, can you put some insight on how microbiologists enter in research and development sector in biotech company or a pharma company?
Can you repeat the question?
She is asking, sir, put some insight on how microbiologists can enter into research and development sector in biotech or pharma company.
As I told you in my own case, that don't remain confined to microbiology. Try to understand eukaryotic biology. Try to understand how the human system works. Also, try to gain the interdisciplinary topics such as chemistry, etc. And then it is not very difficult to convert yourself from microbiologist to the drug discovery scientist.
Yes, sir. And this is Dr. Prafulla Shede, who is faculty at Abasaheb Garware College, Pune. He is asking, is it possible to encourage academicians from state universities or colleges to support spin-off companies based on their own academic research? Do you have policy and government support in place for this?
So thank you, and I must tell him that I was also a student of Abasaheb Garware Microbiology Department. I did my undergraduate from there. So yes, the new education policy actually encourages to have your own startup while working in the academics. Each university also have some policy framework, and I don't know if Pune University has that kind of work. Many IITs now encourage their faculties to have their own startups and even earn profit out of it. So a lot of things are happening, and new education policy actually encourages doing that.
And this is from your own colleague, sir, Dr. Harish Guttikar. He's conveying you that it's very excellent and interactive discussion, and he's helping a startup biotech who are working on immunosuppressants for manufacturing and bringing down the cost, right? So for this, he need funding for pilot study of fermentation work. How and where he should approach for such support, he's asking.
I can always talk to him offline, but he can definitely apply BIRAC for this purpose in Department of Biotechnology.
Yeah. One Sudhakar Maitre is asking how industrialist can become auditor.
No, industrialist should not become auditor, and auditor should not become industrialist. Those two are different jobs and different field, and we should not mix together.
Yeah. And one Rajbin Uke, he's asking how much time will it take to get patent for same microbes or medicines on COVID-19? This question. How much time will it take to get patent?
Because it depends on when there will be a discovery on the treatment. Patenting is a different question. Only thing we should have, first of all, effective drug on COVID, then only it can patent.
So I think list is long, and everybody has appreciated, obviously, your very wonderful insights, sir. And to conclude this, I'm having last question. I'm again tempted to ask you, would you like to give a few tips to the inspiring students and professionals as well? Your message and tips on this life science.
only
as a
tip is
profession.
that keep your eyes open. Be always in a student mode. That means in a learning mode. Never think that you know everything, and do the collaboration with someone who can complement your strengths and who can complement your weaknesses, so that there is a successful collaboration, and that's the only way to become a good human being. Thank you.
So thank you so very much, sir. Uh, Famous philosopher and essayist George Satyana, he once said that technology is nothing but developed perception, uh, interpreted intent, common sense, rounded out and minutely articulated. This was immensely evident from your speech and for your interaction session, sir. As always, your address was so engaging that we lost all track of time. It was thoughtful of you to add those thought-provoking annotations, which has set a perfect platform for all of us over here. Thank you so very much for your influential message. Your illustrated deliberations made it all come alive for us. It will be a great pleasure for all of us again to listen to you in our future events as well. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you
So,
very
with
much and
permission
Thank you,
namaskar
sir.
to all of you. I really am thankful to the organizers and Shanwari madam and everyone for very nicely conducting this program, and hope to meet you soon as COVID is over in person.
thank you
And
very
please
much,
stay
sir,
safe.
once again.
Thank
So, with kind permission of Dr. Deshmukh and Dr. Patankar, I would like to conclude. And we have arrived at the last segment of this very wonderful session. Saying thank you is a humble token of appreciation expressed through words to recognize the efforts of all those who work selflessly and tirelessly to make an event successful. So, it is my again privilege to propose a formal vote of thanks to mark the end of such a wonderful event. On behalf of all the office bearers and members of Microbiology Society of India, I thank Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale sir for sparing his very valuable time to share his deep insights with all of us present over here. I thank Dr. Arvind Deshmukh sir for his opening remarks and Dr. Patankar sir for introducing today's guest to all of us. I take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to all of you who have attended this online event. Your wonderful interaction and insightful questions were definitely an indicator of the tremendous interest today's talk must have generated in your minds, truly serving the purpose behind organizing such expert talks during the National Science Week celebrations. So, thank you, one and all. And with kind permission of Dr. Deshmukh and
Yes,
Dr. Chauthaiwale,
yes.
may I
Only one announcement.
yes, sir, please.
This lecture is recorded and link will be available tomorrow,
Okay,
and it will be uploaded on the website, on the YouTube channel of Microbiology Society.
that's great gesture, sir, on your part. Thank
And
you.
on the Sunday, there is a one more lecture on space microbiology by UK scientists from UK, United Kingdom.
Great.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you so much,
Yes, again,
sir.
I'm
Thank you so much.
I'm
Thank you,
very
Vijay
happy.
Chauthaiwale. Dr. Vijay, thank you for accepting our invitation.
Really,
Correct.
thank you
very
very
much
much.
thankful
Thank
for
you
you.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you
Have a
all.
good evening. Yeah.
Thank
Namaskar.
you. Thank you.
Thank
To one and all. Stay safe.
you.
Thanks all for attending this event.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Doctor. Rakesh.
Hi Rakesh, what are you doing now? Rinku Visharma and Rohan Bodeshia, Subhiraj, Rakesh, Ram Agarwal, Shivani Raj. Hi Shivani. Guru Tere Teriyade, Nyayam Dharmam Adiyade. Ada, salah petikun. Guru Tere Teriyade, Nyayam Dharmam Adiyade. Hare Bande, Lord.
हेलो, आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन टू गेट एग्जिट एग्जिस्ट कर लो. पृथ्वीराज, प्लीज एग्जिट योरसेल्फ. रोहन, साक्षी, प्लीज एग्जिट योरसेल्फ.
Okay, okay, sir.
रोहन, साक्षी, प्लीज एग्जिट योरसेल्फ. डॉक्टर अहमद, प्लीज एग्जिट. Exit yourself. Dr. Ahmed, Sakshi. Please exit yourself. Dr. The Sakshi and Saima, exit yourself. Saima, Sakshi, only 3 are there. Please exit yourself. Ram, Sakshi, Dr. Ahmed,